Good evening. I'd like to call to order the December 2nd meeting of the Parks and Recreation Community Resources Advisory Commission at 6 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. Tom, could I ask you to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand, face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. Amari, can we do roll call, please?
Commissioner Tullis,
Here.
Commissioner Warner,
Here.
Commissioner Maroney,
Here.
Vice Chair Horowitz,
Here.
Chair Ellman.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you. Next, announcements of upcoming city events. Austin, welcome.
Hello. All right, thanks. So first we have the California Great Santa Stroll on Saturday, December 13th, which will include a festive stroll from Hermosa Beach Pier to Manhattan Beach and back in support of individuals with disabilities. Next is the Community Hanukkah celebration on Sunday, December 14th, featuring entertainment, activities, and the lighting of the menorah on Pier Plaza. AAU Southern Pacific Grand Prix Series will be on Sunday, December 14th and Sunday, December 28th at the volleyball courts north of the pier. And lastly, Interscholastic Beach Volleyball League Tournament Series will be on Sunday, December 21st and Tuesday, December 30th at the volleyball courts north of the pier.
All right, good evening, Commission. Just wanted to highlight an upcoming city-hosted event here in Hermosa Beach. We have our annual Sand Snowman Contest taking place on Saturday, December 6th at 9 a.m. on 15th Street in the Shoreline. Prizes will be awarded for participants based on categories such as HB Favorite, Most Unique by the judges, and Most Traditional and Best Dressed. Registration is located on the sand starting at 9 a.m. Judges start their judging at 11:15 a.m. For more information, you can visit www.hermosabeach.gov/recreation. Next slide, please. And next, we have an upcoming community movie night in Hermosa Beach, our annual holiday movie night, a festive family experience. This year, we are highlighting the movie Frozen in partnership with the Hermosa Beach Police Department. Attendance is free this year for all adults and children. For more information, you can visit www.hermosabeach.gov/recreation. Next, our city-hosted excursion for the month of December. This is a charter bus company which is used to transport participants on excursion sites throughout from the Hermosa Beach Community Center to a destination. This month, we will be going to the Newport Beach Holiday Boat Parade on December 18th. For more information or to register for the event, you can visit hermosabeach.gov/recreation. And lastly, upcoming theater productions inside the Hermosa Beach Community Center Theater and Second Story Theater. For the Second Story Theater, we have April Fool's Comedy Improv on December 13th. And in the Community Theater, we have Family Theater Incorporated presenting Mary Poppins Jr. this weekend on December 5th through the 7th. As we mentioned, Community Movie Night on Friday, December 12th. Tutu Dance School Winter Recital on December 13th. And Hagerbet Entertainment, Travel, and Tourism TED Talk on December 21st. For more information, you can visit hermosabeach.gov/theater. And that ends our upcoming city events.
Thank you, Brian. Next, we have presentations. Amari, can you please introduce our first presentation?
Yes, first we have Friends of the Parks post-event presentation, long-term agreement requirement, done by Lauren Leventhal. She will be coming in on Zoom. Laura, you are now able to speak. You may unmute on your end.
Fabulous. Um, Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, fabulous council. Thank you for having us. It's lovely to see you for our annual review. Ultimately, I'll keep it short, as I know everybody on this commission knows what we do and knows about our three signature events. But please, of course, stop me along the way or flag me at the end if there are any questions or anything that I've missed. I would be remiss without thanking city staff, who has been really tremendous always, but this year in particular, in helping us pull off our three signature events. Special shout out to Lisa Nichols, who I know juggles quite a bit and has worked with us for many, many years. Thank you, Lisa, for all of your support. And Austin Deweese, who has also, along with Brian, been quite helpful to us and has continued to help us finesse and grow as these events evolve in the ever evolving Hermosa Beach community. The three events that we hosted this year that are our signature events were Pumpkins in the Park, which we just hosted in October, Pets in the Park, which we host in Valley Park in the spring, the same weekend as Beach Life, and then our biggest event, Movies at the Beach, which we host in September in conjunction with Hermosa Beach Concerts. Ultimately, I think the board and community were really pleased with all three of the events. Of course, high points and low points for all three, because we have been delivering these signature events for, well over a decade and up to 20 years for some of them. We know the drill well, and we have a, tried and true established way to run the events and work collaboratively with the city. So we didn't run into too many challenges along the way. I'll start first with Pets in the Park. That event was great this year. We had all of our normal occurrences at the event, pet blessings, which is always an event highlight. We were joined by Rabbi Gila Katz, Father Morales from Our Lady of Guadalupe, and we traditionally would have had somebody from St. Cross Church, but they had a competing event that weekend. So that was fabulous to have them, and we had lots of animals that came and were blessed. And then we also had support from Farmers Market, the Hermosa Rotary Club, Let's Move It, who joined us for pet vaccinations, and they were a new sponsor for us this year. Just Food for Dogs returned as a supporter of this event, and we had what we think was a real hit at the event, Goat Yoga, again, and we've had that a couple of times. And we were flagged this year that there has been a citywide ordinance, and we will no longer be able to have goat yoga, which we are bummed out about for this upcoming year. And we are thinking about how we pivot and what other fun aspect we might be able to bring to Pets in the Park if we do the event the same way. But we know that we were allowed to do it this year, and the city made an accommodation for us, which we appreciate, because having the goats on site was quite fun, and we managed to keep the dogs at bay, and it was a nice added piece of that event. The challenges for that event, we did deal with some rain the night prior, so we had quite a wet park to work with. And Austin Deweese can attest that we were trying to get creative, because our vet sponsor needs to be able to access the blacktop for that event so that we can bring their truck down there. And so we were not able to do that this year. And we had to pivot and sort of help use volunteers to move everything down to the blacktop. So that's something we'd like to, potentially revisit. Is there a way that there is a workaround with a guide? Historically, we've been able to drive one vehicle onto the blacktop as long as it's arranged in advance and we have, a police escort. If that's not feasible, we may need to reconsider, how we set that up, because they do need to get them on the ground. Beyond that, we didn't have any challenges other than competing with the ever popular Beach Life, and so we are exploring whether or not the time frame for Pets in the Park should shift in light of Beach Life and some busy weekend commitments, and it's usually Cinco de Mayo weekend. So that is something that we're considering. Otherwise, I think it was a overarchingly successful and fun event for the community. We didn't have any challenges. The one challenge, and this is not just specific to pets in the park, that I would like to flag is related to insurance. We have increasingly been asked to indemnify the city, and of course we've done that. But I am flagging that that cost has sometimes been prohibitive for us and may be an issue going forward with certain events. So much so that even for city banners this year, for street banners, we were actually told that we need to indemnify the installer, which is not only a bit impractical, but simply just not cost effective for us. So we've decided not to do street banners this year. And so we did have reduced promotion for some of our events because we made that decision. Lisa and her team, however, were quite helpful in helping us with some of the banners that we had in the parks. And that was our workaround. So that's something that we're considering. Pumpkins in the Park, which we held at Edith Roadaway Friendship Park, where we host it annually, was just on October 11th. We had a tremendous turnout this year, which we were really excited by because we had a smaller crowd last year. And we believe that that probably was a result of moving our dates back to earlier in October. We were 1 week later last year, and there were just so many competing holiday events. The park was incredibly clean when we arrived. So again, huge shout out to Public Works and city staff for making sure that what has sometimes become a dog park for us was in really good condition when we arrived and ready for us to activate. We had cross-checked with the city in advance that there weren't any other groups activating in the park, which has historically been something we've bumped into with pumpkins, that sometimes there are some mom groups or other local community groups that use that park on the weekends, and we didn't have any of those challenges this year. So really appreciate all the efforts made there. We even have a local Hermosa resident who has put their hand up to be our official receiver of our hay bales after the event. So we have a really great model that once the event happens, they take the hay bales and reuse them. And so it's become a really fun and easy to execute event. Again, supported by Hermosa Beach Rotary, Farmers Market, Hermosa Beach Hermanos, who has stepped up as a really great volunteer partner for us. And they actually ran our games booth on site this year. So that was really fun to have their help and their enthusiasm. We had quite a few great volunteers from them. I believe that this is over 20 years of pumpkins in the park. So that's pretty tremendous. And it's certainly proven to be on everybody's radar for that weekend. So we will continue with that event. One question that's worth flagging related to pumpkins is the question of any other bathroom renovations that might be done in other parks. We would love to support any of those efforts, since we know that they're costly. We every year are reminded that there aren't restrooms at Edith Roadaway, and so we encourage folks to take their kids over to Fort Lots of Fun, where we know that there are restrooms available, but flagging that has come up a few times, and we've toyed with the idea of, do we bring in porta potties, which isn't really the right avenue for a family focused event either, and adds cost to our plate. So that's one other piece that we are working through. But otherwise, event was great. We had a face painter, pumpkin decorating, and our ever famous puppet show with the same marionettes that we love to have. And then movies at the beach. Our biggest event was a great turnout this year. Coincided with 2 weekends of concerts on the beach. Weekend 1 was Lilo and Stitch, the original, and weekend 2 was Mamma Mia, which we had a really great crowd for, and folks that showed up in costume. Even had a local celebrity with some of his friends that came down to join us. Jimmy Kimmel was on the stand with us, and you never would have known that he was there because he was just a regular Hermosan that day and brought a whole crew out to support. So we thought that movies was great. The Vox team was easy to work with and navigate. Vendors stayed out of our way on the sand. Austin's team was very helpful in helping us get the volleyball courts down in advance, which was really, really helpful to us this year. The lifeguards turned the lights off on time. We truly didn't run into any hiccups with movies other than the known factors that we have. The parking is always a challenge. We did have people in our parking spaces when we arrived. Not sure what the workaround is for that. I know this group knows that barrier all too well. So we did run into that challenge. And I think the only other thing that our board would flag is, while it's fabulous to share infrastructure on this event with concerts, the costs are continuing to climb year over year. And we probably will hit a point where that becomes an issue for us. It is more expensive using Vox than the previous vendor that we had. However, we of course will, do everything we can to keep making that work as long as we have city and sponsor support. So overarchingly, I think we were really pleased with all three events, and beyond our three signature events this year, we supported a number of other local efforts, including Shakespeare by the Sea, which we sponsor and support every year. We're chamber members, so we support most of their work ongoing. We had the pleasure of supporting Trunk or Treat this year alongside Friends of the Library and South Bay Credit Union, as well as the previous Hermosa Beach Police holiday movie, Nightmare Before Christmas. And we would love to do more of those things. So thank you again to city staff for putting some of those opportunities on our radar and letting us be a part of it. And I now would open it up to Commission if there are any questions or comments.
Thank you, Laura. As usual, you guys do an amazing job. I have some thoughts, but let's see what everybody else has to say. Todd? Okay.
Hi, Laura. Great presentation. Thank you so much. I have a couple questions regarding the banners for the street for pets in the park. And maybe it's more of a question for Lisa, but could Public Works help with those banners to help alleviate the cost to indemnify the people who put them up?
Public Works actually has a company hang the banners.
Okay.
Yeah, through their street banner program. So
Well,
they do
there
not
goes
do
that
that
idea.
in-house.
And I love the partnership that you have with the volunteer groups and even the individuals like who take the hay, and that the Hermanos Unidos help. I love that. So thank you.
All right. Tom?
Yeah, I had the same concern. I'm not sure why we need to indemnify. You're not a lawyer, and I'm not playing lawyer, but a question for the city to really follow through on is, do we really need to indemnify the people who are putting up the banners? If that's becoming an increased cost so much that we can't put up the banners, that's a problem. We don't have a marquee sign in town. The banners are really the only way we reach out to people who aren't aware of events. So if we could pursue that, that'd be useful. Otherwise, great presentation.
And to clarify on that point, my understanding, and I too am not a lawyer, the guidance that we received around our normal insurance is that for groups that have a really high coverage threshold, that have a physical building or a place where they're holding their own events, they normally would have that kind of coverage baked into their normal policy, whereas our normal policy doesn't include that. We pull additional event riders as necessary for wherever we're hosting these events in the city of Hermosa. So to indemnify a vendor that we're forced to use, just sort of, it becomes a bit circular for us, because we'd actually have to pull a much heavier policy just across those days. And so it's, I don't know, something I'm happy to talk to you sidebar about, Lisa, if there's anything we can do, but we ran into a wall.
Okay. Elka, do you have any questions?
No questions, but thank you for doing this. My daughter has aged out of all of these events, and I miss them. So thank you for keeping up these traditions.
Thank you. And perhaps we need to skew into some different demographics so that all members of the community feel included. I suppose I didn't touch on the one other takeaway from movies this year, which is because we have moved movies into September at the recommendation of the city, we have felt the last few years that we get significantly better engagement and attendance for sort of, older families and, of course, cult following films. And so less and less of the really early childhood demographics. And so we are considering that in terms of the film selection. Like perhaps we don't go the, super, super young route as they're all back in school or too tired for a late night movie.
Great. Here are my thoughts regarding pets in the park. First of all, I have learned that the Hermosa PTO sends out their Instagram messages on Sunday nights. So I would really reach out to the schools because I think that would, sometimes parents are really looking for something different to do, and all of your activities are away from, well, that's not true. 2 of your activities are away from the beach, and that's really helpful, especially on the south side. It's always nice to have something up at a different park. So that was one of my thoughts. And the other one is to reach out to the local veterinarians regarding pets in the park and see if they would let us put up a sign about, they've got all these dog owners in and out of their businesses constantly. And again, I just love the new screen and your new sound system that you've used. I think, is this the second or third year?
This is the second year
Second year.
we've had that screen, and Fox did a fabulous job.
Such a difference. But I did not sing along because nobody would want me to sing along. But okay, again, you guys have been really, really helpful, and I like Tom's idea. What can we do? I'm a little confused about goat yoga. What's our issue with goat yoga? We need certain things, I'm assuming, or
There's a municipal code that does not allow goats in the park and other animals. It's very specific as to what animals are allowed in the park. So it would require a municipal code change, but happy to further explore other locations. I don't know if goat yoga has to be outside or if it's a possibility to have it in the Kiwanis or Rotary Club. Kind of get creative on how to maintain that element, but to change that code would require a few public hearings and open the door to more activity like that, which would be a way larger, bigger conversation.
Okay, great. So at least there's an explanation on that. Again, thank you very much, Laura. All your time and efforts are truly, truly appreciated.
Thank you, Barbara. And
I have a question.
Oh, yes, of course.
What is goat yoga? Do you actually do yoga with the goats? Or?
Really?
I have no idea.
Wow.
And I do
this
yoga.
Is good.
Sounds like we need to find a way to bring goat yoga to a commission meeting. Goat yoga, typically you do actually get to do yoga with the goats. In this particular case, because we have other animals on site, we've done a much reduced footprint where they actually have a small enclosure, and you can walk in there, and the goat, if you start to do certain yoga poses with the instructor's guidance, the goats will usually either start to do the poses next to you, or and sometimes even jump on your back or climb on each other. And it's very similar to puppy yoga, which has become a very big phenomenon.
Wow, have to try that. Thank you.
Thanks again, Laura. Have a good night.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, next, Amari.
Next, we have Hope Chapel post-event presentation, fee waiver grant requirement. We have Joey Izid on Zoom. Joey, you can go ahead and unmute yourself now.
Hello?
Good
Can
evening,
you guys hear me?
Joey. Good evening, Joey.
Oh, good evening. Good evening. Hi, Commissioners. Thank you for having me tonight. Yes, my name is Joey Izdi. I'm here from Hope Chapel to give you guys my post-event presentation. Recap. I've actually never had to do this before, so I look forward to your questions at the end. I'm going to try to recap according to some of the requests that we received via email. So this was the first time we've been able to have this event. We had it on October 12th, the first time in a few years. The cost has just kind of gone up there to be around a $10,000, $12,000 event about. if you want to feed roughly 500 people at the park with just straight up hot dogs, chips, sodas, and then we had the unlimited shaved ice truck for a few hours there. And so that's about the cost with a couple jumpers. We, of course, wanted to create environments for just toddlers and make sure they were safe and things of that nature. So we had certain activities for them, but as far as we were concerned, it was about as pared down as it could be. So it was good to be able to have it again this year. We thank you guys for giving us the deduction this year for the nonprofit. That was really huge. And that's actually what allowed us to be able to expand and to get the shaved ice truck for the community for that last 2 hours there. So thank you guys for that. As far as the recap that you guys requested, I would say that over the course of the event, not at the whole event, but throughout the whole day, we had about 350 people. Most, we had no problems with parking. Most just walked down from our parking. We also have, we work with Chase Bank on Sundays since we're a church and they are closed. It's very convenient for both of us. So we have express written permission to use their parking lot on Sundays. And so that was just really convenient. We had no parking problems, no problems with Lazy Acres traffic. Everyone was able to walk down to the park and also take a van if you were elderly or disabled in any way. So that was really cool. Worked out well. We didn't experience any incidents with that personally. Other than that, I would say maybe there was about 200 people at the park at any given time. There was definitely people in the community that attended the events and that weren't part of the church, which it was really good to see. So we hope that it was just a blessing to really whoever just wanted to hang out and have a fun day with their kids in the park. There was no beneficiary of funds raised, as you guys asked, as we didn't do that. It was not a fundraiser in any way. You guys wanted a little bit of an overview of the budget. So yeah, it was about 12 grand. I believe you guys, with everything, when everything was said and done, it was roughly $2,000 we saved that we pumped basically right back into it. But other than that, you know, the vendors were basically the brunt of the cost. We rented carnival style games, we rented the jumpers, and then services, just like having ice for the drinks delivered and things of that nature. A couple $1,000s here, $1,000 there, etc. And then the food we had to purchase for a couple $1,000s, and so it all added up to about 12,000. And as far as the event budget and financial outlook, this is something that we would like to do every year. We used to do it every year, but the cost is kind of up there where is the juice worth the squeeze in regard to spending these donations on what we're spending on? And we have kind of had to make the decision to scale back in the last few years. This year, we just have so many new people coming through that we just thought, all these people go to separate services. When are they going to ever meet each other? And so we would like to continue this next year. We didn't think we would be able. We actually wrote Austin and said, we just wanted to thank you guys. We love having these events here, but due to rising costs and now working with fire, there was also an added fee of like $1,000 at the end there that kind of hit us out of nowhere. Now that you guys are kind of absorbed into LA County Fire and they come out. So we just thought, you know what, we might be cooked for a while. And so we were just saying, Austin, it was great to meet you. Thank you so much for everything you've done. And him and Lisa very kindly reached out and said, hey, look, we don't want you guys to have to be in a place where you just can't have events here in Hermosa, period. So if you guys want to have events, come to us and let's see if we can work something out. So not a necessarily like full on promise to help, but that they would try. And that was huge. So we were going to try in the coming years to have a picnic and see what you guys all think. We feel it benefits the community just because you don't have to have anything to do with us to be there. You can be there and play the games and win the prizes and eat a hot dog and let your kids go on jumpers and run around and play with other kids and then leave. No obligation. We're not collecting information from anybody. You know, we have over 1,000 people a weekend coming into Hermosa, into that building. And so we just thought, you know, why not funnel them to the park and For the prizes, we were able to give local business gift cards and just stuff like that. So we feel like, yeah, it is a benefit to the community, especially for one day out of the year. We hope that you guys see a benefit and that you're satisfied with being able to help us with that waiver. That was huge. Thank you. And yeah, we would hope to be able to do this again sometime. And I'm here for questions.
Thank you, Joey. I'm going to go to the right this time. Any questions, Elka, or comments?
I was just wondering, how do you determine how many people show up? Do they have to sign up, or is it just eyeballing?
Well, it's a total eyeball. It's just I've worked there for about 16 years, and you can start to eyeball a room of 500 people. And so just from, it's an estimate. It's a professional estimate, and that's all. No official count of any kind.
Were the numbers up or down, do you know, for year?
It was actually a little bit less than we expected. Would be there at once. A lot of people just came right. So we have a couple services. We wanted the picnic to start right after the first one. So you don't have to go home and come back, right? If you just want to go down to the park, have your hot dog and leave, you could. So we had a lot of people that came right at the beginning, but then left very early. Didn't stay for any of the games, kind of came, ate, and left. And so, no, it was actually a little bit less than we expected. Very low key. The park did not seem excessively crowded, to us at least. We hope that there was some kind of representative from the city there to have seen the event themselves and to see, how kind of low key and hopefully well it was run. But yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Tom?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Lisa, do we encourage them to come do this in person? Because an in-person presentation would be best with some sort of visual aids. That's the best presentations we get. If they're not here in person, Zoom is second. Just over the phone, it's a little hard. Do we encourage them to come?
We really leave it up to the event producers if they would like to join via Zoom or in person, but we do mention they can definitely submit a PowerPoint presentation to us to supplement their verbal presentation, and we just have to have it by the posting of the agenda.
All right. Tracy?
Thanks, Joey. I appreciate that the picnic is open to the public and the whole community. And I thought it was really something that you used your savings from the fee waiver and put it back into the event. And I think that's appreciated as well. So thank you.
Oh, thank you guys.
Todd?
Yeah, hey Joey, just wanted to confirm, I think I heard you say you estimated about 350 attendees? Is that right?
I would say, yeah, throughout the course of the day.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I wanted to also apologize. I had actually planned to be at this meeting in person all the way up until today. And due to a different work obligation, I was unable to attend. So I apologize. This was the only way I could attend.
Oh, well, we always like having visitors, Joey.
Sure. I would have appreciated being there as well. I apologize.
Totally understand. As usual, the event, I wasn't in town this time, so I wasn't able to see it exactly, but I have been to most of them, and you guys have always been extremely generous and gracious with how you've been, let all the families that come down, even people that had no idea that this was going on, and because you do take up such a large footprint. So thank you very much. Lisa, there were some comments about finances. Is there something new? He made a comment about the fire department.
Yes, the LA County Fire Department does have their own special event permit review, which it also includes sometimes an inspection at the event. So they would charge their cost for the review of the application and that inspection, and that was required this year. It has not been required in past years, but it was a requirement of the LA County Fire Department this year. So what we did is reduce some of our costs since it was a surprise to Hope Chapel this year, so that overall the total remained the same.
So next year, I'm assuming that this is going to be on the application, that fee would at least be on there so that they could see it. And
yes, it's always noted that it's a possibility in the special event policy guide on the event overview sheet that those fees will be there, but the fees have also increased on LA County's end. So it's possible they may increase on an annual basis, like slightly, like because our fees do with our master fee schedule. But we do anticipate at least giving a ballpark cost to event producers. And what we did this year is we sat down with LA County and we went through the entire 2026 event calendar. So we know which event producers are going to have to expect their review and inspection.
Well, thank you again for your presentation, Joey, and again, appreciate all the efforts that you and the church do. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Somewhat relevant to this topic, I know there's another Hope Chapel topic on the agenda, but it does relate to this specific event. Could I ask that question now of you, Lisa, or? I think it's something you can answer.
Yeah, let's go for it and see.
So this event was a level 2, and I believe the reason it was level 2 is because they estimated 500 or more attendees and amplified sound. Sounds like they didn't have 500 attendees. I'm just trying to wonder, I have this thought, right? If this were a level 1, they could have saved, what's 3,300 minus 750? They could have saved $2,700 in costs.
I believe because they have reserved parking too, which is also lumped in the special request, it's still going to keep them at an impact level 2 with the reserved parking.
Okay.
All right.
Good thought, though.
All right. So next, we're going to move on to public comment. Amari?
This is a time for members of the public to address the commission on the items on and not on the agenda, but within the commission's jurisdiction. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes and will be taken in person and via Zoom. A reminder that if you address the commission on a discussion item, you will not be able to address the commission on the same item when it is heard at a later part of the meeting. First, we do have Carla Buck.
Good evening, Carla.
Good evening. I just want to say, hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and I love your hats. I have one at home. I'm sorry I missed it. We had a really lovely pre-Thanksgiving event at Uncorked. Kathy Noel was so gracious to designate us as her designator, like the Bark for Park movement, to benefit from their Paws for a Claws thing, where we had over 100 dogs take their picture with Santa. I wish I could show them. They're very cute. We raised over $2,000, and our plan is, as we go into this new year, as hopefully this work continues with the subcommittee, we do small events, mostly really just to raise community awareness. There was this fantastic thing that someone passed along to us as part of our group from Willow Park, Chicago, that I encourage you guys, I can always send it to you, that they, over a 3-year period, this community said they had a dog park, but it was in disrepair. It was mostly dirt and rubble. They said, how do we make it better? And the community came together and they figured out how to raise funds through a whole thing to be able to make it. They increased the size. They had artificial turf. They had these wonderful things. It's just, when you see the stuff they did, yes, it's the park, but it's bringing the community together. And that's really what we hope to do. And we're so happy that the subcommittee is beginning to meet. We're excited about the momentum. Lovely to be a part of it. Just wanted to say happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Anybody else? All right. Anyone online? No one
There's showing
online.
no raised hands online.
Okay, so I'll bring it back, close public comment, and on to commissioner comments. I'll start to my left. Todd?
In the prior month's meeting, I did inquire some questions about the payment processing fees associated with the RecTech software that's coming in. I have received some clarification on that. The short summary of that for now is that today, a registrant for a program pays a fee that today is called administrative fee that is 10%. It is expected that when RecTech is implemented, the fee, which we labeled a processing fee on the RecTech software, will be much less than 10% because it'll match those amounts in that contract, which is 3.5% plus 30 cents for every credit card transaction, 1% for non-credit card transactions. So, so basically, my understanding is, today registrants are paying the processing fees, which are quite high for the current software. The new software, it's much less. That should be reflected to the registrant in the system when they go. So just for everybody's awareness. And I still do have a few more questions that came up after I learned and squared this away just about the whole budget accounting of all this, but I'll chase those down outside the commission meeting.
All right. Tracy? Not now. All right. Elka?
I just wanted to double check on the agenda that I printed out on the 28th. For the public comments, it still has 2 minutes per speaker. Is there a way to update that? Because I was checking with the other commissions and they all have the 3 minutes. I don't know if this was an old version or what's going on with that, or.
Yeah, it has since been corrected on the posted agenda.
And I see the Bark for a Park people have more swag every day. You have the jackets and hats and everything else, so.
Dog bandanas next year.
All right. More fundraising.
Did you just say we had 2 more minutes?
No.
Okay.
All right. So I have my list of questions for you, Lisa. I've driven by the Clark building a few times, and it's been very busy. How's business?
It's doing really well. It's getting booked up pretty consistently month to month. And I think what we're planning to do is come with a year in review to the commission next month on 2025 at our meeting here as part of the director's presentation, so we can dive into more of the details on the types of use and some of the regular user groups and really any findings we have found since it's been open too with, the fees or any concerns. There haven't been really any that we haven't been able to quickly correct. But business is going really well. Thanks for asking.
Great. And then how are we? I saw or I heard that we had the TV show 911 down on the Strand. Have we had any other good business? Because I know we've been working hard to increase that.
Yes, we've been consistently getting film and still photo permit requests. They tend to come all in at the same time. And they're usually the higher impact ones at the same time, but Austin and Kaylin have been managing them well, and we've been able to shorten the turnaround time by more than 50% now with these 2 amazing new team members that we have.
Great. Thank you, Austin. A resident called me about the Memorial Bench program. So I know we have, basic locations, but if somebody were to go online, can you explain to me, there isn't a easy way to look at it. It's just kind of a basic area. Is that where we are with this?
I'd have to see. We do not process any of those applications. Our only responsibility is bringing to the commission any locations that may be in the parks and really reviewing where we would have available locations there only. So let me just see.
Are there areas of the city that we have cut off to any more benches? Are we saying like South Park or Valley Park? We're not looking to put any benches there, so we're directing people away from these areas?
I'd have to check with Public Works.
Okay.
Once the available locations that we've selected at the parks are full, then we would not be, the idea is we wouldn't consider adding more because
Okay.
we did the maximum amount of available locations when we brought it to the commission the couple times that we did. I think right now, it may be paused on the pier because of the pier assessment that's happening right now.
Okay.
But I'd have to really go back and check with Public Works and have them give me the data
So
on what's
the only
remaining.
crossover of that is the parks or the green belt. It's not that we're not privy, but anywhere else, it would just be Public Works. It wouldn't be us at all. Right? Do we sign off on approving a bench in a park? Is that our responsibility, and then it goes to Public Works?
No, our only responsibility is reviewing the proposed locations for benches and approving the locations that we'd like a bench at.
Okay, thank you. Are we going to be putting the new signs up at South Park? We had talked about the fact, the hours, the rules of the road.
A whole overhaul of all the park signage is on our list to match current branding, to have consistent rules and the hours posted, because right now there's a lot of different signs that say a lot of different things, so we
Right.
want to consolidate. So it's something that we really need to work with Public Works on when we're going to have the resources to put towards that project.
So that would be one of the things that we would be discussing in our crossover meeting that we're.
It could certainly be one of the
Okay.
items.
All right.
And it's something we've had, to further elaborate, we've had internal conversations already this year on. We decided it would be best to wait for the Kelly Clark CIP improvements 619 to complete, because that's going to require new signage in that facility as well. So we might as well start knocking out all the parks once that renovation's complete.
All right. Speaking of, Kelly Clark, looks like we've got a good start on that, and I'm assuming the rain might have slowed us down a little bit, but we're still scheduled the end of January?
Or early February before Little League starts, yeah.
Okay. All right. And have we officially changed our name? Because it was still on this meeting.
No, it is not
Okay.
officially changed. An information item will be going to City Council at their December 9th meeting. So if they would like to ask staff to come back with a formal recommendation to consider approval of a name change, then they could certainly do so, and then we would bring it back probably
Okay.
to them in January.
So we're a couple months down the road on that.
We are.
Just curious. Hey, how's the air conditioning and heating over at the community center? Have you guys pulled out your space heaters? Is this what we're doing?
That is what we're doing for heat, yes. The community center gas line repair project is still underway. I don't have the estimated time of completion. It's likely January or February at this point. And that's been what we've been doing to get by.
And the classes, when people rent the classrooms, are we allowed to have space heaters in there? Are they necessary for exercise classes? Or?
It really depends on the activity
Okay.
and the room that's being used, because
And we supply the heaters?
we do.
Okay. And lastly, access mats on the north end of town. I got a couple phone calls about that. Are we planning on not even looking at this until after the winter, since we already pulled up the other mats?
So I'll touch more on this in our future agenda items, but it was requested by City Council to consider the feasibility of adding a mat on the north end of town. And it was under our understanding that the motion was to bring it to the Parks Commission and the Public Works Commission first. But we
Okay.
reviewed it today, and it would just directly go back to City Council, and it's just a Public Works item. But we can certainly keep the commission updated.
Great. All right. I think I've asked enough questions of you.
Can I do one follow-up to the Clark Building? Have we looked into the acoustic situation there? I know there were a lot of
Yes.
complaints.
Public Works is working on that, so hopefully that will be part of our overview. I can touch on that and give an update on where we're at with that.
And what are they looking at specifically? The whole system, or?
Last update I had, my update was that they were re-engaging with the company that had done the original assessment to have them come out and complete it, but looks like Brian might be able to
Yeah,
add to
they're
it.
also looking at the configuration of the speakers themselves and the directional that they're putting, that they're facing in the room as well for the whole AV system.
I was hoping that we were also going to look at putting sound dampening, I'm not going to use the right word. It looks like artwork on the walls to try and absorb some of this sound. Is that anything?
Yeah, what's
that's
interesting is some of the I wouldn't say complaints, feedback that we're getting from rental groups is that the noise is not loud enough for a lot of the audio needs, that it's low projection music and audio, but then we're hearing that it's also complaints that there's too much noise interfering with exiting the building, as you're mentioning, right? The soundproof barriers, like you would see in a recording studio, is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, there's some, I've been in some meetings where you can see it's on the wall like artwork, but there's no color
Right.
to it.
It's almost like decor.
Yeah, it just it's supposed to absorb the echo, because the two meetings that I've been to in the
Right.
building, it was not easy to understand the person who was
That's speaking,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, that's some of the feedback we've had. I'm not sure if that particular item is on their review, but we can certainly mention it. Something that we're looking into actually as we speak with the second story theater.
Okay.
Yeah, and those directional mics, if you don't speak right into the microphone, you can't hear anything. So I don't think most people, when they speak, are used to having a microphone right up to their lips. So that might be something to look into, to change the frequency or channels or something to improve that sound.
Sounds good. Yeah, with the new renovation, it's always a work in progress, right? So I think there's going to be continued things that come down, and the feedback and input is great, and we'll make sure to translate that to the Public Works team.
Great. Okay, so we'll move on to the consent calendar. Do any commissioners have a motion or wish to pull anything from the consent calendar? I'm looking for a buddy here.
I can make a motion. I don't have anything to pull. I recommend that we approve the action minutes of the November 3rd, 2025 meeting and the October 2025 activity report.
Thank you.
Second?
I could have made that easier.
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion carry 5-0.
All right, next, public hearings. We don't have any this evening, so we're going to move on to matters for the commission consideration. First is approval of the commencement of a long-term agreement negotiations for Hope Chapel Picnic. Austin, welcome back.
Good evening, Chair Elman and Commissioners. Austin Dewey, Special Events and Filming Coordinator on behalf of staff, recommends the Parks, Recreation, and Community Resources Advisory Commission consider a recommendation to City Council to approve the commencement of long-term agreement negotiations with Hope Chapel for the Hope Chapel Picnic in 2026 through 2028. Next slide, please. On October 30th, 2025, staff received a long-term agreement application from Hope Chapel for its Hope Chapel Picnic in 2026 through 2028. The requested dates can be found in attachment 1, are not confirmed at this stage of the LTA review process. Next slide, please. The event would consist of a community picnic with food, music, games, and activities for all ages. The event producer anticipates approximately 1,000 participants and spectators throughout the course of the event, and the event would occur at Valley Park. Next slide, please. If Commission recommends and City Council approves initiating negotiations, event dates would be determined through such negotiations, and staff would return to Council for approval of the agreement. Staff are available to answer any questions the Commission may have, and to note, an event representative was recommended to be in attendance today to answer any questions as well. Thank you.
Amari, do we have anybody here from Hope Chapel?
It looks like we don't have represented on the line.
All right. Well, that makes it a little difficult to ask questions. Do any commissioners have any thoughts or questions that they would hope?
Well, I have a question for staff. The special events policy guide, the long-term agreement kind of requirements, there's a requirement in there that says, an organization has held its event in Hermosa Beach for at least 3 consecutive years. And I'm just wanted to try and understand what the actual intent is of that language and the rationale for that.
When this program was created, I believe Chair Elman was on the subcommittee when we were reviewing the long-term agreement and forming the policies. I think the intent was that the city really would want to be sure to enter into a long-term agreement that's 3 years worth for an event that has established itself and that has met all the policy guide policies.
Yeah, I mean, I asked because this particular event, it occurred this year, it occurred in 2022, it occurred in 2016 through 2019, but, you know, it hasn't occurred for the previous 3 consecutive years. So that's kind of, that was my initial, was this the intent or not?
Yeah, that's why we made note in their application. So it's really up to the commission. The event wasn't able to be held in 2020 because of COVID. So that should really be considered. It would have met that 3-year requirement if it was able to be then. And I believe they just needed to get the event back up and running after COVID because it was still in a position. Well, they were able to come back in 2021 and 2022.
I think 2022, right?
Yeah, they came back. It was held in 2017 to 2019. Then they skipped a year. We're here 2021 to 2022, and then came back this year.
Right, so it...
Yeah. So it's really up to the
has
commission.
occurred 3 years.
Yeah, if they want to make
in the past.
a policy
Yeah.
exception with consideration that, you know, maybe if they were able to hold the event in 2020, they would be meeting that 3-year.
What we did was as the director said, we were trying to be sure that we weren't going to approve long-term agreements with people that didn't have a history with the city. And we were especially more so with groups that don't really have a close physical relationship with us. And Hope Chapel has, as far as I'm concerned, have proven themselves to be a good neighbor. They've always followed through with everything that we've asked of them, and they've, you know, if you go to the event at the park and you go later, you really don't notice that they were there much. And Joey himself, I've seen him carrying the boxes and staying late. So, but the intent was just to prove that we would have faith in the group. If anyone has any other questions about that, but that was the intent. It does make it difficult, though, to go through this if there isn't anybody here. The application has a lot of information, but I'm just really disappointed that someone isn't here. Any other questions?
I mean, the implication from the post-event presentation we heard is that, you know, they need more financial support to run this. And I'm guessing the LTA is one way because the LTA provides pretty open language to waive any and all costs, you know, associated with an event, basically, is what an LTA allows them to do. So I'm assuming that's kind of why they're pursuing this. And certainly they're they've been here. They are a neighbor and they are an organization known. I don't know. And also it said 1,000 participants. I don't know if that's cumulative across the 3 years because they had 350 this year. As I mentioned earlier, I also think there may be a path for them to reduce their costs by making some adjustments and moving down to a level 1 special event, you know, save them $2,000 plus right there. It'd be interesting to know what combination of things the event producer would be okay with to do that
Right.
as well.
So is this something that we want them to come back? We want to have this come back? That's a discussion to have. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, I've got a question, and I'm sure Joey told us, but when did they have it this year? Was it October or September?
Oh, they had it October 12th.
That's what I thought. So my question or comment is, they want this in September. We are over the limit in September. We may be going even more over the limit in September in future years because you think you might be using that stage to put on programming. So my concern is the September dates.
Maybe they could have it in July.
Yeah, really.
And that would definitely be part of the negotiation process. We would look at that and be like, we understand that you're interested in moving to September, but we cannot expand in September. If you would like to enter into that's that would be what we would negotiate. It would really need to remain in October or consider another month that's not so impacted.
Tracy, did you have something?
Yeah, to piggyback on what Tom was saying, like even his September 5th date for, is it 2020? Oh, I looked at the wrong year. But it's pretty close to Labor Day weekend. But going back to the financials, it sounded like in Joey's last presentation, they didn't have it the last couple years because they couldn't afford to put it on. So it does make sense that they'd want the LTA to mitigate some of those fees. But at the same time, if you know consistently that you're going to have your event for 3 years, you're probably wanting to build it up and have more and more people. So I think that would preclude going down to a level 1, because if you're going to have it consistently, that drives people to want to come year after year, and it gets people excited to come. So I understand the drive to maybe look at it as a level 1, but I would hesitate to do that, because I think especially if you can get it consistently around the same time, whether that's September or October, you're going to drive more people there. They're going to be excited about it.
This is very true. Okay.
I would, sorry, Chairman, just to follow up on Commissioner Tullis's note, when we do the special event application process, initially we always ask for the overview sheet for them to approximate or estimate the highest number of attendance that's expected, spectators and participant, so we can properly plan as a city and city staff for the resources that would be necessary to overview that event. When the application initially came of, the 1,000 expected attendance, that was based off their previous events pre-COVID, where they did have large attendance at those events. And that's their goal for the event, is to bring in community outside of the Hermosa Beach residents, South Bay residents. So they're targeting 1,000. And that's why we go into the level category 2, as well as on top of the parking, the amplified sound, other elements that puts that in that criteria. So yes, he is able to alter the application and say we're going to target 400 people at expected attendance, but then, we're still stuck in that as city staff to monitor what happens next year if they do market it better and they have more financial resources and 800 people show up. We prepared for an impact level 1, but we really have an impact level 2 at the park.
Okay. Amari, can you open this to public comment?
This is a time for members of the public to address commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. When called, please state your name and city of residence for the record. We will begin with members of the public wishing to provide comments in our chamber. Looking that we have no one, but we do have Tony Higgins on the line via Zoom.
Good evening, Mr. Higgins.
Hello, how are you? I guess my question centers around a few years back when there was a large attendance. There was no parking to be found anywhere on Morningside, anywhere on 26th Street, anywhere on 27th Street or 28th Street. So there is a big impact to a small group of people, maybe 500 or 1,000 that live around the park, who can't move their cars all day long or go shopping because when they come back, there's no place to park. Now, that's one reason that this is, it does have an impact. Now, what I'm wondering is, does the city look at that impact and consider that impact and how to mitigate that. Because, if a lot of people work all week, and on weekends they want to go out shopping or something. And if you can't find a place to park when you come back, and you have to carry your groceries 4 blocks or block an alley, it is a problem. So I hope you're all considering assessing the impact to the park from these for these events at the park. And so that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Higgins. So, anybody else?
Seeing no other hands raised.
All right, so I'll bring this back. Does anyone have any comments or would consider a motion?
Hello.
I'll jump in. I don't have any, we know this event, we know these people. It's fine for a long-term agreement event. It's parking for one day. Everybody in Hermosa has a day of the year, or probably more like dozens of days of the year where you can't park on your street. Mine is triathlon for sure, and I'm sure I could come up with another dozen examples on the south side of town. But if we are going to approve this, I would ask that we say yes, enter into a long-term agreement, but with the instruction that we not exceed any of our monthly limits, which would take it out of September.
All right, anyone else?
I would second that.
All right, that's a motion and then a second.
Oh, I thought it was a motion. No,
All right.
I agree with you. And there's still things to work out, but that's the point of the LTA is to
Right.
then negotiate it with staff. And so if that was a motion, I
All
second
right.
it.
Amari?
Does anybody else want to say anything before we vote on it?
No, I think you said it just perfectly for me. Anyone
Well,
else?
I guess my only other question I have is when it does go through the LTA, I know, they're aiming for a big fee reduction. Like, how much of a fee reduction are we going to give? Will that decision come back to us at all? I don't think so, right?
It does not. It would be part of the negotiating process. We really try to recoup as many costs as possible with indirect cost and all of direct costs for city staff and services. So we would see what's feasible really for Hope Chapel and consider that in the negotiations, but it goes back to council, the final agreement for approval of whatever fee waiver may be recommended in a long-term agreement.
Okay, so that fee waiver go back to council. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Those fee waivers through a long-term agreement are not part of the allotted fee waiver amount that we are given
Correct.
for 2026, which I think is $5,000 for next year.
Yes, completely separate.
And how much staff do you use at this event? Who has to attend from the city?
Like this year, it was LA County Fire. It wasn't, there was no need for city staff to be on site that day, but that could change if they change their event format and Public Works feels the need to be there. It really just depends on the event site plan annually. And a lot of these events will try to add new elements, so it's hard to forecast that at this time. But this year, it was LA County Fire staff for an inspection.
So just like EMT or something, or paramedics, or what do they
They
usually?
came, the LA County Fire came to inspect the event footprint, make sure the generators
inspection.
were placed correctly, fenced off, and inspect what grills they would be using.
Got it.
Amari, do you understand the motion, or do we need Tom to make it again?
I need Tom to make it again.
Okay.
So I would move that we approve the commencement of long-term agreement negotiations for the Hope Chapel picnic with the instruction to staff that it is not to exceed any of our monthly limits.
I'll still second that.
Sorry, Commissioner Maroney, did you say approve, to make a recommendation to City Council in your motion?
Sure.
Yeah. And to include those guidelines to staff regarding negotiating the fees. But Mara, you can approve the motion as amended, approve staff's recommendation as amended, and then we capture it later in the minutes.
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion carried 5-0.
All right, next, we have approved the Parks and Rec Committee Resources Advisory Commission's November, oh no, sorry. Yes, we added dates, April and November. I don't think I have my notebook in order. Okay, so for April 16th, 2026, and Wednesday, November 4th. Oh, so we're going after instead of before. That's great. I didn't realize it was the Wednesday. Any comments? Anybody want to make a motion? Oh, sorry, open to public comment. Didn't check it off my list.
No worries. This is a time for members of the public to address the commission on this item only. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. When called, please state your name and city of residence for the record. When we will begin with the members of the public wishing to provide comment in our chambers. Seeing that is no one. Moving on to virtual public comment. We do have a hand raised by Laura Pena.
Hi, yes, Laura Pena, Chair, Commissioner, staff. I noticed there was maybe an oversight on the calendar schedule. It looks like for February 3rd of 2026, that is also the day that City Council will be meeting. They changed their date from February 10th to February 3rd. So I don't know. I didn't see it accurately reported in this report. And then I also support the change to November 4th. So just wanted to give you that piece of information.
So, but I just would like to state, we had our dates set before they decided to move in. Is that what we're saying?
We were first, but if council does change their date, we have to change our date. So I will go back and, the hard thing is we do approve all ours first annually, and so sometimes this happens. So if we need to change the February date, I'll come back with a recommendation to change that date.
Thank you, Laura. Good catch. All right, so we'll bring this back for comments or a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Parks and Rec Community Resources Advisory Commission's April and November 2026 meeting dates.
Second.
I guess I should say which may include a change in February, the February date, or is that not necessary?
I want to confirm all of their dates in case there's any other dates they may be moved away from their usual second and fourth Tuesday that may impact us. So I'll come back with a separate recommendation and staff report on that. So not necessary to include it in the motion at this time till I confirm if there's any other conflicts.
So we're not going to know February until January, because that's our next meeting. Okay.
That is true. Likely will have to be later than usual in February based on how the chamber's calendar falls. So we'll see if their second Tuesday is available and we just switch.
Okay.
Voting is now open. Voting is now closed. Motion carried 5-0.
Great, thank you. All right, next is future agenda items. Lisa, do you have an update on current pending future agenda items?
We do, and we do have a presentation as well. So if we could cue that up. Okay, and next slide. Okay, so this is a reoccurring slide with the city council items that have been sent to the commission to consider or have a conversation on first and possibly make a recommendation or just at least receive the information and be able to provide input. And we have no updates on this list at this time, except for what I mentioned earlier, is that the feasibility of putting a placement of an access mat on the north side of the pier is going back directly to council, but we will keep the commission involved in updates as to when that will be. Next slide. Okay, and we do have a commissioner requested future agenda item from our last meeting. Commissioner Tolis, with support from Commissioner Warner, requested staff return with an item on the feasibility of adding a commissioner to the implementation team for the city's new recreation management software, Rec Technologies, Inc. So that would be an informational item that would be returning. And then looking into the action items that will be on our agenda next month, we are going to be having the special events on public property item where we need to consider whether to allow vendors to sell on the beach. And that's other than the event producer themselves, because they're the only ones who are allowed to sell right now as part of an approved special event. So we had planned on bringing that this meeting, but with us needing to post the agenda on a holiday week where our PD team wouldn't be available to necessarily review it and have us finish prepping the item, we did push this to our next meeting so that PD can also participate in completing that staff report with us. And this last slide is, I'm sorry, I forgot to say next slide. So this last slide is the current subcommittee list and scope of work. Commissioners are responsible for providing any updates on their subcommittee work, and they can do so during commission comments. So updates aren't going to live on this slide. This is just going to be a running list of our current subcommittees. So we have the municipal lease policy. Commissioner Horowitz serves on that subcommittee, and we do have one vacancy, but we're really putting this on hold just for the current time because we really need to review the scope of work with new city leadership, inform them of the direction we were going and some of the conflicts we were having, and make sure we're still on the right path. And next is the volleyball court use policy. Chair Ellman and Vice Chair Horowitz, let me correct myself from the last time. This item is to develop a volleyball court use policy. There's nothing that is in existence right now that has any general rules, regulations, hours for use of any of the courts along the entire beach. And then we have our youth program subcommittee, and Commissioner Maroney and Commissioner Warner serve on that. And it is really the responsibilities are to engage a youth stakeholder group to discuss city youth programming, recreation programming, I should say, report findings to the full commission, evaluate the outcomes of the time spent with this stakeholder group, and determine future youth involvement. Do we have a youth commissioner? Do we have a youth advisory council? Whatever we want to take back to the commission to consider after the full year of this work that we're doing. And then lastly, we have our dog park subcommittee, and Chair Ellman and Commissioner Warner serve on that subcommittee. And the tasks are to do best practice research on comparable cities that have dog parks or a dog run, dog-friendly amenities, evaluate potential sites, and develop a recommendation that would ultimately go to City Council. And that concludes the future agenda item presentation.
All right. Anyone have any comments?
I was just wondering, is this also part of the agenda? Because I know when I tried to see what was coming up on the future, nothing came up.
PowerPoints will at times be posted at the time the agenda is posted, but since these are presentations and not action items, they're not required to. We needed more time to get our PowerPoints finished and ready for tonight's meeting. So this is going to, all the PowerPoints that were here tonight that aren't already on the agenda are posted tomorrow as supplementals.
Got it. So the public wouldn't be able to see this beforehand?
Ideally, they would be. We have been posting it before, but since we kind of changed the format on this and formed the subcommittee slide, we are bringing it tonight, and it will most likely usually be posted with the agenda initially, but there may be instances where we're confirming an item that it's going to take us more time to confirm that should be on that presentation. So these presentations are really meant to supplement a verbal presentation. So they aren't staff reports or action items. So that's why they're not required at the posting.
Thank you.
Tom?
Yeah, at the time when we revisited the pickleball issue, before they finally went ahead with resurfacing the courts, both here at the commission and at council, there was talk about going back to what had been an existing subcommittee and seeing if there was anything further that should be addressed before we reopen the courts. It wasn't the kind of direction from council like the pool and the dog park was.
Right.
So what are the thoughts on that?
That is our plan, is to see if we can form a stakeholder group that consists of players and the neighbors and really follow the process we did to develop the current hours and policies. It may be difficult to find neighbors that want to serve on that stakeholder group and have it be an even number of neighbors and pickleball players, because we don't have a lot reaching out to us with concerns about the current hours and policies. And I've reached out to the former stakeholder group and haven't been able to determine their interest to continue the work. So regardless, we're going to review the use policy and hours. We're still navigating exactly how that process is going to happen.
Todd, did you have any comments or questions?
Yes, regarding the information item that I initiated at last month's meeting, I would like to amend that or seek support for amending that information item. As defined, it was pretty narrow and maybe somewhat ambiguously defined, I know, on the implementation team. I would like for that information item instead to reflect the available options for one or more commissioners to provide support and feedback to staff who are working on the implementation project. So rather than like very narrowly commissioner on the implementation team, I'd just like to understand all the options, because the intent of that item was to figure out how we as the commission can provide feedback, support, and oversight to this important project. I'd like to, seeking some support, and I guess I need one, to amend that information item to instead be a little bit broader, but because some investigation is going on now into the original question, we should take advantage of that and figure out exactly what the options are.
Okay.
Do you know? No, neither.
Honestly, I don't really understand what you mean.
So this is a really important project, right? This project that's starting in January, the RecTech implementation. It's an important project for the public. It's an important project for the department, and not only, and I think we should be able to provide feedback to that project in some way. And we also, personally, I know I have a lot of professional expertise in this area. I believe I could provide good feedback and support to staff who are dealing with the project to try and make sure we get the most successful project done, get the most value out of this vendor. And so I'm just trying to understand the possible avenues to doing that. And that's what the information item is. Like, what are the possible avenues available? What are the possible methods available? And I know we're used to subcommittees, but subcommittee may not be quite right for this because it's a little bit different. It's an implementation project opposed to like a new initiative like a court policy or something like that. It doesn't have, the implementation project itself does not have an outcome that needs to be reviewed by the commission as a whole and passed on to the city council. But I do view it as a very important department initiative, and us being the commission for the department, intended to have oversight of, oversight of all the department's operations and advise the city council on those. I think it's important that we're able to do that.
But how is this different than the last time we discussed it and came up with the informational item?
The information item as requested is very narrow because I think information item as requested says, I think you had it on there before, right? It's
liaison, like an actual
an
liaison
actual-
on the implementation
on the
team
team.
itself. So
Right.
how I'm understanding the amendment is Commissioner Toulis is asking to just outline available options. Like, does it need to be a formal commission liaison? Does it need to be a formal subcommittee? Or what's a way the commission could provide input on this project? And what level of information can they receive on this project if it's a more informal role?
Yeah.
And I shared with Commissioner Toulis that, like, we do that in an informal way in a lot of ways now with each of the commissioners. So certainly happy to come back with an information item if the commission supports it to explain that more informal process.
Does anyone else have any thoughts about this subject before we possibly move on to other?
I don't have a problem with it. I think it would be a good thing just to have someone who has an expertise in this area to help with any questions or insights that, like you said, Commissioner, tell us to get the best bang for our buck from this contract. And there's a lot of information that will be stored and gathered from the public, who signs up where, and, you know, what age groups, and all, so there's valuable resources that we may not even know about, and if we explore it or look at it closely, I think it can only help us and the public. And I guess we're looking
have your
at all,
support?
yes, I think we're looking at all avenues to make that happen, you know, whether it's a subcommittee, whether it's informal, or whatever works for staff, just try
Right.
and
That's the key change, the informational item is what approaches are possible here, if any, because the known subcommittee path is not so clear that it applies here, based on some conversation.
And from what I understand, you have to have 3 votes to form a subcommittee? Is that correct?
To form a subcommittee, yeah, but
Yeah.
the item
Right.
we're discussing now is just an amendment to an information item,
Right.
which requires just two total support.
Yes, yeah.
Well, we already have an information item. You've amended it. It's going to come back as an information item, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can move on from that.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have anything that you wanted to, any questions for?
No, I was curious, though, if the youth subcommittee had met. I was curious about that.
Yeah, actually, we have met. We've met several times in different ways. What we did is we went and we looked at what the neighboring communities are doing with their youth groups, your youth commissions, how they use, whether they give representation on their boards. And everybody does it a little different. The city that's most akin to what we're looking at is Redondo, and that's Kelly Orta's project. So we met with Kelly Orta, and she came down and gave us an hour of terrific history and information and how they do it. The 3 of us also met and talked about how we need to reach out to the youth in town before we actually do the stakeholder meetings, so we get people that will come to the stakeholder meetings. So we're going to do that, and we're probably going to do that, in January, at least with one? I think
That was
we've
the
reached
plan.
out to Hermosa Hermanos. Have we done that by email?
We've reached out to them, and I have some dates that I'm going to send to the subcommittee, so we're moving along.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, and we've also reviewed some of the meetings from Redondo Beach to see what might work best here. I mean, they have 15 members, which is a large group, and I don't know if that would necessarily work here. It may not. And we've also kind of seen the interaction between Kelly Orta, who's kind of guiding the group, and some of the topics they have, because they have to be kind of youth-oriented, like, you know, youth policing, or, you know, some kind of where they have an interest in the topic, and that's, you know, and then that makes the meetings more interesting, and they get more engaged from what I've seen so far. And I don't know, per se, if Redondo Beach, the students there give input on recreation programs in a formal setting. It might be an informal setting, but a good group of them were very solid and asked really smart questions and seemed to enjoy the process. So
Excellent. Just because we're talking about subcommittees, we did meet, the dog park group did meet today. We looked at a couple different areas, Valley Park, the beach, a few other places. And anyway, we're moving along. We're getting our feet wet. Is that what we can say, Elka? So my thoughts about the pickleball court opening is that the original idea was that we would keep 2 courts, reservation courts, and 2 courts for open play, and that we would keep the hours the way they are and see how things went. That's our goal right now, and to see what the residents nearby and the pickleball players, how they deal with it. So if we weren't to discuss this any longer, that's where we are on opening day.
Well, we would like to have a discussion prior to the project completing with the commission and council.
Okay.
And it's possible that that is a staff recommendation because we weren't able to get enough input from the surrounding neighbors who aren't necessarily pickleball players on supporting a change of hours. It took us a long time to get to where we are now.
It took us 6 years.
Yeah, to where we didn't have the noise impacts. And really, the only issue that we're having is the courts being used when the courts are closed.
Right.
And this project will help with that. It will raise the fence where we believe that was making it a possibility. And so that could likely be the
Because that wasn't-
recommendation that's going to be coming to commission and council, and where staff discussions have really been at this point.
Okay, and I will just say, as a member of that subcommittee, I was very disappointed that we didn't come up with an idea before we resurfaced and redesigned the area, but I'm a happy loser on that. The question I have is the volleyball program on the beach. It's been forever, and I know staff is being pulled in a lot of directions, so I am hoping that if council is listening and the city manager, that we can only do so much. And I find it extraordinarily frustrating that this is a subcommittee that it's been 2 years now, and the players and the residents, people that want courts. So I'm hoping that you will share that in the future, because I find it extraordinarily disappointing that here we are, we're starting a new year and we are 1 inch closer than we were 2 years ago. And I'm not blaming you, but I am putting the fire under your feet to speak up and let the council and the city manager's office know that we're getting nowhere because we constantly let people cut in line, and we're not getting anywhere. So, all right, enough of my soapbox. Any other comments? So, Lisa, do you have anything else? Your Community Resources Director report at the bottom here.
I do, actually, and I have a presentation for that as well.
When's our meeting in January?
Well, while we're queuing up the presentation, my first item to report is a very happy birthday to Chair Ellman.
Thank you very much. It was a great day, and I was just saying, I get to share my birthday with Britney Spears and Aaron Rodgers. Not exactly 2 people I was hoping, but I didn't really find anyone that, a tubist with the New York Ballet. But other than that, my husband out there waiting to walk me home on my birthday. Thank you, Lisa.
Of course.
Oh, and thank you for the flowers, Elka.
You're so welcome.
Oh, and you know what? We haven't, we all got these lovely cups, so thank you, Tom.
My present is I'm not going to sing to you.
Oh, thank you.
We'll save that for after the meeting. It will be group. Okay, so let's go ahead and advance to the next slide. All right, so my update really this evening is just that we are excited to share that we have formed a partnership with Culture Club. It's a community platform that was founded in 2020 by Allison Hales to celebrate diversity and foster inclusion in the South Bay. Culture Club offers free beach youth camps each spring and fall and collaborates with like-minded organizations to do so. And it's all about expanding youth access to these beach resources. They have previously hosted camps in Manhattan Beach, but this coming spring will be their first here in Hermosa Beach. So we have put the flyer here on the slide before you. What I want to share is we will be presenting to council in January about this partnership. And then we're going to have a formal press release go out about it. So it will be likely early February that you'll start seeing us promoting this through the city's communication channels. These camps being free tend to fill up pretty fast. So we're not worried that we're not starting to advertise till February, that we're going to have any problem having the camp full by the first date. That's been the experience thus far that the Culture Club has had in these partnerships. So we just wanted to kind of give you a look ahead into this and let you know that this was something we've been working on and that is really going to be promoted in the early new year. And that really concludes my Community Resources Director report.
Elke, did you have a question?
With the Culture Club? They provide the surfboards and the teaching, and what does the city do? Or is there like a fee that they charge, or
It's a completely free camp. And they work with other like-minded organizations to be able to host the different elements like volleyball, surf, and the plan to have lunch will likely be with one of the local businesses. They're already in talks for that. So really they staff it with volunteers and they plan the program. We approve the program. We provide the space at no cost. Their responsibility to us is maintaining the insurance requirements of the city. That's of no surprise to them. That's what they do in other partnerships. And we support marketing the program.
advertising and getting the word out?
Exactly.
Yeah, gotcha.
I will also add that the first day of the first workshop or the first camp is going to be hosted on the Sunday of Surfers Walk of Fame weekend. So another way to extend the surf culture and celebration in Hermosa Beach.
I was lucky enough to go down and see one of their workshops, and it was extraordinarily well run, and the kids were just having the best time. If you didn't want to be in the water, there was volleyball, there were arts and crafts, and everybody seemed to be having a wonderful time, including the leaders. It was a cold day, but everyone was having a great time. I couldn't be more thrilled, and thank you, Lisa, for finding the group. I think that came from Councilmember Jackson.
Councilmember Jackson made the introduction.
That was nice. Perfect.
And how many kids per session? Do we know?
I do know, but I don't know off the top of my head. I don't want to say. I think it's up to 60.
Oh, wow. Okay.
There were a ton of kids. In Manhattan Beach.
All right. Well, if no one has any other comments to make, then I am going to adjourn tonight's meeting to our next meeting on January 6th. I want to wish everyone a very happy holiday and hopefully see all of you down at the Sand Snowman contest. Thank you.